Hi, it's Kim. Welcome to the channel today. Today I'm going to talk about my Hoya carnosa. I am just desperate for it to bloom. I've had it for several years and still not having any blooms. I'm not sure of exactly which variety. It could be the tricolor or the crimson queen because it does have a lot of pink in it and everything. But I've watched and watched for the peduncles. I'm just desperate to get one of those gorgeous, beautiful pink blossoms that everyone talks about and you see so many pictures of. But let me let you take a look at it and you see if you think I'm coming close. Now here is my Hoya right now this spring at the end of May, and I'm trying to monitor it to see if someday I might have a bloom or two. So far I haven't noticed anything. Every now and then I think I see one of the little vines have a little protuberance. That might be a peduncle, but nothing ever seems to develop. I keep watch and keep watch all over it. No peduncles. Now I have considered taking some of the long vines that come off it to cut them off to propagate. But then when I read all the reference material I can, it says that a particular bloom might occur on some of those long vines, and then if one had tried before, it'll try again in the same place. So I'm kind of in between, trying to cut one of those off to try to get a blossom. So I'm not real sure what I should try to do, and I'd really appreciate it if you have any advice for me. I read that they do bloom in the spring and summer, not as often in the winter, but I guess it's possible. But I've only had one bloom on a Hoya that I have in my lifetime, and that was probably 15-20 years ago. Let's keep looking. Well, here is my Hoya, and I am waiting this spring for it to bloom. Hopefully it will. I've got a lot of leaves on it, but none of them seems to be developing any little peduncle-like looks. There are a couple of spots, and we'll see if we can narrow in on them. A spot like that, but no peduncles that I can see. And I always thought when I read that they come out near where a leaf junction is supposed to be. But there's nothing. This one has a tiny little leaf junction right there, but it only looks like a root growing out of it. I think this variety is called the Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen because its new leaves do come out pink. That's the only reason I think that. But I thought I saw a tiny strand right up here. Let me point to it. Right up there with a little protuberance at the end that looks like it could possibly be a peduncle forming. And I don't think I have any down here, but it's growing like wildfire, and I am feeding it, but no flowers and no blooms. And it's so thick in the top, I can't even water it. I have to go down, stick my finger down in through and make myself a spot to put the spout through. It's so full inside. But I don't know, I'm still hoping for some sign somewhere of a bloom. Now, I have a post over on the blog, and I'll reference up here in the corner a link to that post. But what I've tried is just the, keeping it on the dry side, watering it without, letting it have wet roots, anything like that. It is very, very pot bound, so it definitely has tight roots in there. I've heard that would stimulate. I am, during the spring and summertime, feeding it. I've heard that if you use a high phosphate fertilizer, that would stimulate it to bloom. It gets a lot of bright sunlight in this window, but it's just the morning sun. And what else? I've not cut off any of the long strands. I'm just conserving those instead of trying to propagate from the long strands. But I really can't think of anything else to try to do. There's not a lot of humidity here, but I don't think it would grow as well as it does here if it was the humidity that's a problem, because it's just in the family room where we watch TV and everything. So if you have any advice for me, or is it just a waiting game? It just depends on the age of the plant. I don't know if this plant may be 5 years old, something like that. But help me if you can. I'd love some comments or some advice, or even refer me to an article that you know of. I would love to have a bloom on my Hoya. But thanks for joining me, and be sure to check out my website, thehypertufagardener.com, and read up some more on some of my houseplants. I would love for you to watch more videos, but someday help me wish for a beautiful bloom on my Hoya, like this photograph shows. I definitely didn't get that photograph from my plant. But thanks for joining me today, and see you again next video.